Namaste. See, I made my last video, which is around 2.5 hours. It was made specifically on Shatdarshana, the six Indian classical philosophies that deal with what is truth, what is reality, what is true consciousness. Now, that was a long video. I am making this video by way of a presentation. This video is going to be smaller. More particularly, this video will deal with one of the philosophies, that is Purva Mimansa. So we'll try to understand what is Purva Mimansa, and in a short way what are Shatdarshanas in this video by way of presentation. So let us go and see the presentation. So this presentation is on Shatdarshan. So basically we are talking about six classical ancient Indian schools of philosophy to know the ultimate truth or ultimate reality. We said in the earlier video that there are two open questions in science. One open question is, what is this universe made up of? And the second open question is, what is consciousness? So our Indian philosophy, basically the ancient Indian philosophy, or you call it Hindu philosophy, they have already dealt on these two aspects. And in these six classical philosophies, they are talking about that reality. Let us see in brief through presentation what these Shatdarshanas are, and we will see in this presentation more particularly one philosophy called Purva Mimansa. In this, all the approaches, all the six philosophies, the basic thing is there are two elements. One is at the smallest level and the other at the highest level, or the infinite level, or you can say all that is, only that is. So that the smallest one is what is called Atman, and the infinite one is what is called Brahman. And what these philosophies are saying is that these two are not two different things. So what they are saying is that the creator and the created are not two different things. The observer and the observed are not two. They are not two different entities. Atman and Brahman are not two different entities. Matter and consciousness, which in Sanskrit we say Prakriti and Purusha, these are not two different entities. They are one and the same. So Prakriti is at a gross level. It is the same reality, but at a gross level. And Purusha is consciousness. It is the same reality, but at a very, very subtle level, or the subtlest level. So Sat or truth, which we call reality, is the realization of the union of the two. See, all conflict or all that dvanda that we have in our mind, in our understanding, the conflict is because of the existence of two. So when there are two or many, there is a conflict. There is no cosmos. There is no synchronicity. There is no uh, uh, what to say, there is no symphony. So these two, when they are not properly understood, there could be a conflict, and because of conflict there are other ramifications. So these philosophies say that Sat or truth is neither singular or plural, it is non-dual. So it is Advaita. That is what the basic saying of all these philosophies. Now, what are these six Shatdarshanas? Let us understand one by one. See, the first one is what is called Purva Mimansa. This is credited by sage Jamini. And the second one is Uttar Mimansa or Vedanta. And the credit goes to Badrayana and Shankara. And the third one is what is called Nyaya by sage Gautama. And the fourth one is Vaisheshika by sage Kanada. And the fifth one is what is called Sankhya. It is by sage Kapila. And the sixth one is what is called yoga, and we give the credit to yoga by sage Patanjali. Now, all these philosophies have something called pramanas, something called proof. Pramana in Sanskrit means proof. So we got to have some proof by virtue of which we can say, okay, this reality is right. Like in science, we say experiment. Every theory has to test that experiment. So pramana means proof. The proof is in the pudding, they say. These philosophies identify 6 pramanas. And these 6 pramanas are, the first pramana is pratyaksha pramana. It is called perception. Pratyaksha is a Sanskrit word. Basically, it means something that is in front of your eyes. So it is a direct experience, not an indirect experience. So this is first pramana. Now the second pramana is anumana. Anumana means drawing a reference, inference, sorry. And the third pramana is upamana. This is by comparison and analogy. And the fourth pramana is arthapatti. This is by postulation, the derivation from circumstances. And the fifth one is anuplabdhi, means not having the proof, not having the experience. So it is non-perception, negative cognition proof. The proof is by way of not knowing it. Now the sixth is Shabda, which is word or a testimony or a scripture or a book. Like we have so many Gitas. They are all testimonies. We have got so many Vedas. They are the testimony. We have so many Upanishads. They are the testimony. So they are the words of the realized ones. That we take them as Shabda Pramana. Now coming to the first, very first philosophy, which is what is called Purva Mimansa. Now, what is Purva Mimansa? See, Mimansa means to investigate thoroughly. The concerned person has to know it thoroughly, to its very depth, to its fullest. Now, the one who investigates this truth, the one who investigates this inquiry, that person is called Mumukshu, just like a scientist. Now, this Mumukshu is one, Mumukshu is a Sanskrit word, for one who is in search of moksha. Now, moksha means nothing like after death or something. Moksha means the ultimate freedom. Freedom from, see, you are not bound by any conception. We are not bound by any logical philosophy. You are not bound by any notion. But you are free from your ignorance, which is binding you. So, moksha is the ultimate freedom. The Vedas, there's a wrong word, divided into 4 parts. See, basically all the Vedas, the 4 Vedas that we have, they are basically divided into 4 parts. Now, the 4 parts are, the first part is what is called Sanhita. They are called Sanhitas, which contain mantras and benedictions. Now, the second part is what is called Aranyakas, which are basically dealing with rituals and ceremonies. And the third one is what is called Brahmanas. These are basically commentaries on rituals, on ceremonies, and sacrifices. So these are basically dealing with rituals, ceremonies, and sacrifice. And the last one is what is called Upanishads. These are dealing with dhyana, meditation, philosophy, all the knowledge that is dealing with the self-knowledge, which is what is called the spiritual knowledge. Now, the study of the first 3 parts, the Sanhitas, Aranyakas, and Brahmanas, this is what is called Purva Mimansa. See, in Sanskrit, the Purva means before and Uttara means later. So the later part, the last part, is what is called the Upanishads. Now, the later part is what is called Uttara Mimansa. So this presentation was more to understand what is Purva Mimansa. basically to understand the first philosophy. So we will focus on the first philosophy in this presentation, which is Purva Mimansa. So Purva Mimansa is dealing with, as I said, it is dealing with Aranyakas, Brahmanas, and Aranyakas, Brahmanas, and Sanhitas. See, there is something called, we talk about mantra. We say the guru has to give some kind of a mantra. See, mantra literally means the one that transforms a mind. Man means manas. Man means our mind, and tra means three. So the mind has to get transformed from three sorrows. See, the mind is suffering from three sorrows. In the same way, tantra means to transform the body, to heal the body. Again, the same thing. Tantra is made of two words. Tan means the body, and tra means against the three. See, so either you have, we say trasti, we say tras, means suffering. And we also say something called trapti, means fulfillment. So there are two things. I am suffering because I am not fulfilled. I am suffering because there is a tras, there is a sorrow, there is a suffering. Same is the case with mind, and same is the case with body. Body and mind are not two. One is gross and the other is subtle. The consciousness is even more subtle. Probably it is the most subtlest. So it is understanding that body and understanding that mind. Now these mantras were for old people, for ancient people. In the modern times, we say mantra means something like saying Om Om Om. हम कहते हैं Om 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 जपना और ओंकार करना. So these things are called, or let's say chanting a Gayatri mantra. Now these were for old people because their minds were different. They were more healthy people. They were closer to the nature. Now just repeating a mantra, just saying Om Om Om, or just saying Rama Rama, or just saying or chanting just Krishna Krishna, this will not help a modern mind. So a modern mind will have to follow a different approach. So the second thing is that the Purva Mimansa is talking about ritual. See, basically a ritual has to revitalize you. It should revolutionize you from within. A ritual is not to do something mechanically. A blind ritual will make you a retarded person. A ritual has to reveal the inner truth to you. Then only it is meaningful. Otherwise, rituals are not important. But what we are doing, so it should actually make you a new being. So the ritual has to transform you into a new being or a higher being. But what we are doing, we are just following the rituals mechanically. It was followed by the ancestors. We are following now. The forefathers have followed it. We are following. So father has followed it. Now the son is following. Father's father has followed it. The father is following it. The father has followed it. The son is following it. So this is how we are following rituals mechanically. They will not serve the purpose. Now we have this term, what is called Brahmana. You know, in the earlier times of India, even today, but in some other ways, we have divided ourselves into four parts. The humanity, we are divided on the eastern side of the world, basically the Bharat side, the Indian side. We divided the people, we divided the humanity into four. We call them Brahmanas, Vaishyas, Shudras, and Kshatriyas. And then we gave the highest importance to Brahmanas. So even in the so-called 6 philosophies, we are talking something called Brahm, the highest reality or the ultimate reality. From that root word, this word Brahmana came. So we gave them importance because they were reading scriptures, they were explaining scriptures, they were making mantras, they were making rituals, and they were sharing all this to common people for their betterment. So Brahmana, then it became like a mechanical thing. So we were talking, every person who is born in the family of a Brahmana, we started calling him a Brahmana. This is how this all continued. A person who is born in the family of a Kshatriya, we started calling him a Kshatriya. The person who is born in the family of a Vaishya or a businessman, we started calling him a Vaishya. Same is the story with Shudra. The person who is born in the family of a Shudra, we started calling him a Shudra. So in the present parlance, Shudra is nothing but the service class. So there, in the modern parlance, in the management philosophy, we talk of what is called service leadership. The same thing continues today, but in a different form and in different shape. So Brahmana is not a person who is actually born by caste or by jati in the family of a Brahmana. So Brahmana is one who is search of that Brahma. Brahma is that ultimate truth. So Brahmana is a person who is in search of Brahma. Actually, Brahmana is a Sanskrit word. If you split that word, it is made up of two, Brahma and Man. Man means your mind, and Brahma means the ultimate reality. So the one who is in search of that ultimate reality is what is called Brahmana. His mind and consciousness are expanding in search of individual self and the supreme self. So the individual self is Atman and the supreme self is what is called Brahman. So Brahmana is by knowing and not by birth. It is by karma and not by caste. So these mantras, rituals, ceremonies, sacrifices were designed consciously for the ancient people to be free from the three sorrows. I will come to what three sorrows are. But these, whatever these original mantras, original ceremonies, which are just being copied, which are just being followed, what you call mechanically, they are not helpful for the modern mind. So the modern mind has to go through what is called therapies, or maybe at the level of a doctor, maybe at the level of medicine, and at the level of dhyana or mindfulness. But the earlier mantras, earlier rituals, earlier ceremonies, or any kind of sacrifices like that, like animal sacrifices. Sadly, there were human sacrifices. Sometimes they even happen at some places. These are not going to be helpful by any way. They will not transform you by any way. So no new being will be transformed. No new being will come out of these processes. So they are not helpful for a modern man, for a modern man, for a modern mind. So I was talking about these three types of sorrow. See, the problem of this conflict is because of what? Why there is a duality? This conflict is because of ignorance. And where from this ignorance is coming? This ignorance is because of these three sorrows. So the Hindu philosophy is talking about three sorrows, three types of sorrow that we all are suffering from. The first sorrow is what is called suffering from individual body and individual mind. It is my own suffering, nobody else is responsible. And that suffering, that sorrow is what is called adhyatmic. Now the second suffering is what is called adhibhautik. This is because we are suffering from other living entities, other living body and mind. किसी को सांप काट देता है, किसी को हाथी कुचल देता है, किसी को शेर खा जाता है. So you are hurt by a dog, sometimes a snake bites you. These cases are cases of the second type of sorrow, what is called Adibhautik. Now the third type of sorrow, which is called Adhidaivik, this is from the cosmic bodies or the suffering from demigods or suffering from nature. So we have seen all these natural calamities, all natural calamities that we face time to time. See, for example, the last calamity that we suffered was COVID. It went on for some 2-3 years, and you will be surprised to know when we go deep into it. This is coming because of the animals. This is coming from animals. So this so-called COVID is because of suffering from other living entities. It is caused by other living entities. So this sorrow has come to us from this sorrow called Adhibhautik. Now the third one, that Adhidaivik, is because of the natural calamities. So these are the three sorrow, three types of sorrow that we all are suffering from. How to come? Even Buddha also said there is something called dukkha, which is a fact, cannot be denied. And he said there is a way, there is a method, there is an approach to remove this suffering, and then you can attain to what is called freedom, he said. So that is what he said, nirvana. Nirvana means freedom. So in his dharma also, he spoke of sorrow, the removal of this sorrow, and the cessation from this sorrow is what is called freedom, is what is called nirvana, is what is called mukti, or what is called moksha. So this presentation was basically to discuss on Purva Mimansa. So we basically covered one of the 6 philosophies. In the next in the video that that I shared, which is for 2.5 hours, I spoke in detail. But this video is more particularly for one of the 6 philosophies, that is Purva Mimansa. And in the same way, in the other presentations, we'll unpack the other, the rest of the 5 classical philosophies of Shatdarshan. So thank you so much. Thank you for listening.